Misfit's Boyz podcast. We're doing a special New Year's Eve edition, last show for 2017. We don't have Armando today. He is currently spinning the ones and twos at a New Year's Eve party that he had already previously engaged himself to. So we are being joined today by Pete Carullo, who's a good friend of mine, hockey enthusiast, fellow broadcaster, if we could put ourselves up to your level.
I'll let you pass on that one tonight.
You can tell us a little bit about yourself, Pete?
Well, Cheyenne just said my name. I am Pete. I do have broadcast experience. I was a DJ for 98 Rock for a few years. Big hockey fan for a long time. Philadelphia Flyers are my home team, and Tampa transplant for about 11 years now. Have become a Lightning fan, although it was hard to get over 2004 in the Eastern Conference Championship. I have slowly let that one slide away. Yeah, he's shaking his head over there on that one, too.
Never got over it.
No.
Still not over it.
The wounds
The
are
bitterness in the back of the throat, it just comes in.
Yeah, just...
the wounds are always fresh on Hunter's arms.
Thanks for having me tonight, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Next.
You want to
oh, yeah.
do your line?
Do I have to?
Do that hockey, Jeff.
Do that hockey. All right, sorry. Magnum XL condom model, Jeff.
No stunt wing.
Former butler to James Dean, Mikey B.
And instead of our normal craft brews in a can today, since in the spirit of New Year's Eve, we all have our choice beverages. I have my penultimate favorite, Captain Morgan and Diet Dr. Pepper. Nothing quite commingles with the special herbs and spices of Captain Morgan quite like Diet Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I can bet.
A little bit of caffeine help
sounds delicious.
Help get me to mid. If you've never tried it, you should try it.
Rum is the 28th flavor of Dr. Pepper.
Pete, what do you have tonight?
I'm going non-alcoholic because I'm being responsible and have to drive. So, not Ubering anyone here though. So you're all on your own.
Damn it. I was counting on him.
I am drinking a lovingly handcrafted cocktail from Cheyenne, an old-fashioned. One of my favorites that everybody always makes fun of me for ordering. Oh, okay. I got a quick
Just because you drink with
here.
your grandfather doesn't mean you have to drink what your grandfather is drinking.
Hey, old fashions have come back in style. Okay, so
I feel like they have, yeah.
I'm not going to give you any crap
So
on that.
I'm quick digression here. This kind of came. This was something that came back online recently. Some old YouTube videos from 2011 of this girl who clearly she's billed as like LA's hottest bartender. But she clearly is not a bartender and has never made a drink in her life, and she's making all of these cocktails.
Was the hottest part even accurate?
Yeah, she's very attractive. She's very attractive.
She's the only reason he watched the video.
That's really all that matters.
She at one point she's got like a tall, like a 20-ounce glass, and says, "Put 3 ounces of bourbon in it," and she pours it to the top. And then she takes it to mix it back and forth, and she's got a 20-ounce glass and a 16-ounce glass, and starts going back and forth, which, I know this is an audio medium, does not work.
You know I'm horrible with math.
It's like you're saying math was not her strong suit.
It works.
It's excellent. The old-fashioned one's probably my favorite. The mint julep one is also very good, because she says put like 3 sprigs of mint in there, and she denudes an entire like mint plant. It looks like a kale salad. It's incredible. Highly recommend the Mahalo Cocktails YouTube channel.
I mean, the vodka might be the only way to get me to eat kale, so I might actually try that. But
I'm sure somewhere in Kentucky there was screaming when that YouTube video was viewed. Mr. B, what do you have,
I
sir?
got the nectar of the gods tonight. Sunset Orange.
Which I think we're slowly running out of at our local Total Wine.
It's come to an end eventually, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
I went and got a
prolong it as much
case.
as I can.
I went and got a case yesterday, and it looked like they were running low. It was in a Bud Light box.
I tried to only bring a 6-pack over here tonight, and then I was like, 6 probably isn't going to be enough. Let's bring a 12. I was like, you know what? It's New Year's Eve. Let's go 18. What let's just empty out the fridge.
I love
Cheyenne,
that
what comes next after 18?
24 pack. I know that math.
All Cheyenne's mathematics skills are beer based.
It's beer and spirits
And donuts.
based. And donuts. But you artificially are increasing the demand for the shock top by
Unfortunately, it
exposing
is
other
seasonal.
people to it.
That's
Do
the
you
only
have
problem.
stock in the company too? Is this like a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Well, I didn't want to bring that.
I mean,
out,
we should.
but
We should.
yeah.
We'll keep that on the down low.
He did after
Yeah.
his second bottle.
His
of the,
name,
the orange.
his name is actually
Became an ambassador
Michael Shock
after one
Top,
week.
so he does own the Shock Top Brewery.
It's spelled differently.
It's gonna be a sad.
As long as there's not an
It's-
ER at the end of
it's-
that shock, you're okay.
It's
Yeah, the B,
SCH.
the B in Becker is actually silent.
You know,
And I think there's 2 Ks in the shock.
You don't want to get
It
sued.
really
I mean.
clicks in
There's
the
an
back of the tongue.
umlaut
Shock.
over the O.
and on that note, all right. This is
You know
our
things are going
podcast.
good when an umlaut gets brought up.
Hell yeah.
So,
So, Mikey, you wanted to talk
I
about...
got in all my umlaut talk before the end of the year, so I'm good.
job.
You have a
I hit my quota.
Before we devolve into the inevitable with the 2 Flyer fans here, I wanted to get into the topic that you were
Always a
talking
hater.
about. No,
Always a
because
hater.
I know
Anyone
what's
have
going to happen
earplugs?
as
Oh,
soon
it's
as we
gonna
open
happen.
up the Flyers
I have
topic.
been extremely restrained over the past 11
Midnight
episodes.
Edition Flyers.
I'm going to need another 2 minutes.
It
Maybe.
says Flyers After
They
Dark.
just can't handle when we get that
Let me
one
get,
lone
like,
win over the
I-
Lightning. You know?
See, I knew this was going to
Here we
happen.
go, here we
God
go.
dog it. This is why I
Set.
wanted to get in the Winter
right.
Classic and now because I know what's going to happen.
So let's
as
cut
soon as we
their mics.
mention the F word, we mention the Flyers, it just goes. It's
So
just
can we
gonna
all
go
just say
in
the
some
Rangers are
direction.
going to win right now and save ourselves the trouble?
No.
You obviously have never listened to this show before.
No, I haven't.
He's going to talk for
Listen.
5 minutes about how great the Rangers are, even though they're playing the Sabres. And
And then he's going to say,
but-
fire Elaine Vignon, and that's going to be that's where we end the
we'll
show.
save that.
Junior
for
team
another
could beat the
podcast.
Sabres right now.
This is
Listen, the Sabres are on a 2-game win streak. I think that's their longest
Are
win
those two
streak
games
all
together?
year. Yeah.
Or was
He
like
said
one
win
first game of the
streak.
season?
Well, I think they're on, they're
Technically,
happy.
two is a
You
streak.
sure there's only one?
They're
game
trying
coming?
to turn around their season, and they think they can do that to Winter Classic. Little do they know, the Rangers they're just going to shit all over them.
And that's in New York,
predict-
right? It's not in Buffalo. It's in New York,
It's in
right?
the Bronx.
It's in City. No. It's in City Field in Queens,
Right,
Flushing.
the Mets play.
It's going to be a great game, no matter what. I'm predicting, I don't know, 4-1 Rangers.
I say 5-2
Yeah.
Rangers. I
So,
think Buffalo's going to stink
I'll-
it up.
I'll say this. I love the Winter Classic when it's held in the good location. Like when they had it at the Big House in Michigan a couple
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago. It was
Yeah.
a great game because it was
Story
snowing.
place,
It was a really,
absolutely.
it was a really good game. I do think they need to cut down on the outdoor games back down to 1. There should be 1 a year. It should be the Winter
Classic. I
Classic.
agree with
I
that.
agree.
Really
Start
build
with
it
the Winter
up.
Classic. You don't
You know,
need
they were
the
holding games in
centennial-
LA. Last
See,
year.
I'm not opposed to it being on the West Coast. I like the novelty of that,
Yeah.
but I agree. I think they're diluting it too much, where it's not as special as it used to be. And I think they've also
Yeah.
missed out on some opportunities too, because I don't remember if it was the Winter Classic or if it was one of the additional games, but it was the Flyers Penguins one.
Yeah.
Why not have that at Beaver Stadium at Penn State? It could have had that same feel as when they had it at University of Michigan between Toronto and Detroit. And you would have had neutral territory too. So
Yeah.
you
Well,
ram
it would've been
110,000
perfect.
people from both
and that's-
sides of the state in there. And
Yeah, and that's
I don't
the
know if it was
problem.
a money deal or what, but I think they're not thinking what could be even more special. When
Yeah.
it's just become
Well,
such a commodity now.
And because they have so many, it does get diluted in terms of location. Like City Field, I mean, who cares about City Field?
I
There's
care
no.
about City
fans.
Field.
You do you?
I do.
Are you a
actually
Mets
pretty
fan?
nice stadium. When it comes to baseball, I'm not really any fan, but
Yeah.
I'll root for New York, obviously.
Yeah, like if it was
But,
Shea, I mean, that has some history behind it. If it's at Yankee
Yeah.
Stadium, I mean, I think there's some history
Yankee
there.
Stadium's
Yeah.
fairly new as well.
Old Yankee Stadium.
Old Yankee
Old
Stadium.
Yankee
Did they have? No, they never had an old Yankee Stadium. I don't
I don't
think.
think they had
Nothing.
one. No,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
I do. But I'm with you. I think one game a season, Winter Classic, New Year's Day.
Yeah.
That's it. And I wouldn't mind if being like, let's say, have the Panthers and Lightning, have them play in Orlando, have them play at
Citrus Bowl.
Citrus Bowl, yeah.
I'm sorry, Camping World Stadium.
I'm sorry,
I don't
Camping-
wanna get- I don't wanna get
Camping World
sued for
Stadium,
No,
yeah.
please, no. Let's. We only have 10 people listening to
Yeah,
it, so there's no way.
Our
we're gonna possibly
apologies
get
to the
sued.
Camping World Corporation.
But have it a neutral site in Orlando. It's all a portable rink system anyway.
Yeah.
And it's usually at this time of year in Florida, it's cooler. It's going to be super cold on Thursday.
Well, they did it in
We're talking about snow in
California,
Pasco
so-
County, but
You
it's
got
usually
enough-
cool in Florida. You could even put a temporary cover.
It'll be
over
cooler
the
than it
whole
was
thing.
in LA
Well,
last
Prevent
year.
the sun from
What-
melting.
they
Or during an evening.
They did it for WrestleMania when they can put like giant canopies up over stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they could definitely do
Well,
from that. And
look
plus, I
at-
mean, you've got enough people from Canada down here this time of year anyway, so they should still be able to sell at stadium.
It should
Yeah.
be
Just
lightning,
Canada, hell,
lightning.
Detroit, from Michigan, from up
yeah.
north, everywhere,
Was it
from
was
up
it
north,
LA
all down
last
there,
year? It
they
was
can
like
do it.
85, 90 degrees out in LA when they had a game. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
And
we
they
should
still- they
do
still had it.
Lightning versus the Habs. That should happen.
You think so? Outside?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good rivalry. Why not?
Yeah, Cheyenne, I
You can do
get,
it
you,
in
I get your
Montreal.
point with wanting that, but it's just the problem is you have to take the big money aspect into it as well. And right now, people that would pay to go see the Panthers ranks up there with people who would go watch a colonoscopy. So
That's true. I was thinking
I'm
more
one of those
regional.
people.
I was thinking more
So-
like regional, rivalry kind of thing.
you
but,
would get representation for the Lightning fan base. Panthers don't even
Yeah.
go to their home games.
That's true. That's true.
So
Kevin
That's
Spacey
true.
does. He's a
And-
huge
Well, there's nothing to
fan
see
for
there,
sure.
so I don't blame him.
And we've talked about like I think a couple episodes ago we talked about relocation and possible teams that might relocate. Panthers being one of them, and just sort of the weird dichotomy you have there of how hockey has succeeded in Tampa, really has succeeded, and then hasn't succeeded really at all in Florida.
yeah, it's not. It's no longer just a southern novelty thing. There has to be the actual fan base there in that city for it to build. And I think it's a combination of one, that not being. It's not like Tampa where you have the metropolitan area of Tampa. I mean, that versus Sunrise. There's definitely a difference between the two.
And the Miami area
Well,
does
Miami
not
is
support
a party
its
city.
sports
Yeah,
teams
I mean,
anyway.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
But you look at other areas too,
like.
like Nashville hockey's become a huge success there. It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt that they've had many successful seasons and now the Stanley Cup Finals run.
Right.
But still,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cemented itself in there because it's built a strong fan base and you have the celebrities endorsing it and everything like that. So it's become entrenched in the actual culture.
And they
there.
also have a downtown stadium where you can go there and you can,
Yeah.
go out before the game and do stuff. And
You don't really have
You
that
can't do
down
that
in
like in
Sunrise, so-
Sunrise, yeah.
Right.
You can do it in Tampa.
Yeah, if they had a downtown rink in downtown Miami, I think that it would be a little bit broader based appeal, something else to do. We're going to go to the hockey game, then we're going to hit South
Yeah.
Beach kind of thing or whatever. So I think location, it does play into it, but I think also on the organization to reach out to the fans and get people involved in that kind of stuff. And, I point to it all the time because it's successful. The Lightning organization has done a great job with outreach to the local community, not only with just amongst the youths, but amongst businesses, charities. I mean, Vinnick has been a godsend for this franchise.
Yeah.
He's hired the right people to do the hockey thing and let them do their thing. He doesn't tell Steve Yzerman what to do. He expects Steve Yzerman to earn his pay and to give him a quality team, and he has delivered so far.
It shows you how important the right ownership and right management is to the whole prospect, though, because there were some years back there when the two yahoos from Hollywood bought the team and everything went to hell in a handbasket for a few seasons there until Vinnick came in and brought it back from the dead almost.
He did. Well, Bill Davidson was the best thing to happen to our franchise early in the history of the Lightning, to get it away from the Japanese investors, and Bill Davidson had history with the Detroit Pistons and helped create that winning atmosphere. To be able to get the cup in 2004. But once that ownership left and it went to the Cowboys from LA, things went to in a handbasket very quickly, and it destroyed whatever had been built up to that point. Speaking of ownership and franchises being run a certain way and that kind of stuff, since both of you are here, and you both
here we
have
Well,
distinct
let's-
opinions on the Flyers,
Before we
He's
go into
provoking
that,
the bear here.
before we go into that, I do want to talk. We're talking about the Winter Classic, and I do want to say, did any of you guys see the World Junior game between Canada and the USA
Holy moly.
outside
No, I didn't
in
get to see
Buffalo?
it.
Okay, I mean,
It was a good game.
I think there's two schools.
Junior hockey
It was
usually is
a
good.
good game, but I think there were two schools of thought. One, which was the conditions were too much, and that the players should not have been out there playing. That the ice it was snowing. It was a blizzard essentially.
man, it was like 2 inches on the
They had to
ice.
stop
I mean,
the game.
it's
They had
crazy.
to stop the game probably every 2 minutes to clear the ice because of
Oh,
the
see,
snowing
that-
so
yeah.
much.
Winter
No.
Classic 10 years ago in Buffalo
Yeah.
between Pittsburgh and
Yeah,
the Sabres.
which
and
I'll say this: sure, maybe it's not. I mean, Canada is probably a much better team than the U.S. Just based on their play so far in the tournament, and that maybe equalized the field a little bit. USA did win the game in a shootout, but I gotta say, tremendous television. It's phenomenal to see a game like that where the snow is coming down. It's a blizzard. A really good competitive game.
That's
it was
part of what
a
made that first
phenomenal
one so
game
special
for
between
TV.
Buffalo and Pittsburgh, because you see the snow coming down and everything.
Yes, and we were talking about
it sells you.
the Detroit game. Was it Detroit Blackhawks in the Big House?
I think so.
No, Detroit, Toronto.
Oh yeah, Detroit Toronto. That was a great game because it was snowing. I mean, that's what you want to see when you're watching one of these Winter Classic games. Is you want to see snow. You want to feel like it's an outdoor game and not just it's essentially a stadium
They're
without
outside,
a roof.
Absolutely. And
But on top of that, sorry to step on your point there, but does that kind of steal the Winter Classic's thunder a little bit? The fact that game was so good and it was snowing and everything like that.
No, I don't think necessarily, because I think the population that had eyes on that game is going to be much smaller than the population that has eyes on the Winter Classic. I mean, you're talking about, aside from people who are invested in junior hockey, you're talking about a diehard hockey population that's going to tune in to watch a junior hockey game. Even though it is an outdoor one, even though it's USA Canada, I mean, we're not talking the gold medal game in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So,
But it could be. Those are the guys who are going to be representing us in the Olympics.
And you're very right, but the casual hockey fan, one, isn't going to know that the game's on, and two, isn't going to tune in to watch it with everything else going on, especially with
they also
all the
have to
other
buy
football
NHL
games.
Network to watch that game. So that's, do they want to spend their extra money?
Or they can stream it online
Well,
illegally.
we don't talk about that stuff on this podcast.
Sorry, I'll
I'm a
bleep
legal
that. I'm sorry.
citizen.
I'm trying to delete it.
And Mark.
I pay for
That's
myself.
totally staying in.
I'm a good boy. I swear. So, the Winter Classic should be a fantastic game, though. And I do hope it snows, because it does kind of add, a nice little extra element to the game. You are outdoors. You want to feel like you're outdoors, not just seeing all the fans panting and hooting and hollering, getting their breaths. It's I don't know.
Well, I'm with you. I think we should keep it to one game, but I think that the participants should vary, and I think neutral sites should totally
go through
come
the
into
whole
play.
league.
I would love to see Dallas Stars versus Minnesota, and say
I've been saying that matchup for a long
Oklahoma
time.
City,
Who wants
somewhere.
to bet?
Draw a line between the two cities. Put a pin in the map there, and try to figure out where's the closest possible location for that game, and just have Stars versus old Stars. Maybe have Minnesota wear their old retro jerseys, and have Dallas wear.
If
That
they
would be
ever-
really good to
something-
have a Stars
It'd be
Wild
something
game.
fun,
up in,
that'd be kind of cool.
Minnesota.
If they ever refranchise a team to Quebec City, imagine them versus the Avalanche.
Well, it's either going to be the Panthers or who's the other team that we were talking about?
Well, Ottawa was talking
Coyotes.
I think Ottawa is just. I think it's just bluster. I think he's trying to get more out of the community. He already got a liver from Ottawa City, so he's probably trying to get a stadium out of him too.
Well, I mean, we were talking about location. I mean, part of the issue with Ottawa's situation is the fact that their stadium is like 45 minutes to an hour outside of Ottawa.
That's horrible. And I agree with that.
Nobody
They
wants
need
to go there.
But it's like, look, you agreed to having your team in that stadium, that location. You guess what? You suck it up, Buttercup. You got to deal with it. You know what? If you want a new stadium somewhere else, you need to pony up money for it. I am so tired of having municipalities, our tax dollars, having to pay for people to relocate stadiums. It's like, look, the Rays just traded away their best player, their franchise player, Evan Longoria. They traded him away for no-name pitchers in the minors and a couple of guys who have large contracts. I don't even know what they're planning to do with that.
Yeah.
If you're not winning on the field, you don't get a stadium. You get a stadium when you start winning and show you have a commitment to your team and to your community. You don't just say, well, you know what, if we had a stadium somewhere else, we'll play much better. No, you play better right now, and then maybe you get a stadium. We'll talk about that after you have maybe 2 or 3 winning seasons together.
That's a double-edged sword, though, because if you don't have the players or the pieces to actually put together a winning team, you're just spinning your wheels. So, and that comes back to management and ownership and paying to get the players who are actually going to give you winning seasons to get a new stadium.
especially in the MLB. I mean, there's no salary cap. What's your issue?
Yeah, no, they can't put seats in that. They can't get butts in the seats in that stadium to save their lives. Part of it, I think, is the stadium location, and that's what the topic that we're talking about.
Those seats are
but that was the only
uncomfortable,
thing that the local area had to try to sway MLB to say, bring us a team here.
The team, they want to get out of that stadium so badly. We were talking.
I'm not
what
a
was it?
fan of the Trop. I'm not a fan of the Trop. I mean, I know a lot of people love it, but I like to be able to go to a baseball game and have my knees not be in searing pain afterwards because the seat in front of me has been jabbing into them for 3 hours.
It's a converted hockey arena.
Which is ridiculous in and of itself.
But I mean, it was a couple years ago. I think they were so desperate to leave the Trop, to get out of their lease, that they said they would pay the bars and restaurants around the area. They would give them money just to make up for the lost business if they could get out of there and move, I think, over to the Tampa side. Right. And I think it was the St. Pete council voted against it and wouldn't let them leave.
Well, they're locked into that lease period. I mean, they're exploring right now, but it is watertight. That lease is watertight, and nothing is going to happen without the St. Pete city getting their piece of the pie, and rightfully so, because they went to the expense of paying for the stadium. They took the retirement. They took the retirement from the city of St. Pete employees to finance that stadium.
Yeah, and I have to say I do kind of enjoy that. That for once the city is able to hold the team hostage as opposed to the team holding the city hostage. Yeah, because I mean, like, look at the St. Louis Rams. I mean, that deal was so bad for the city of St. Louis. They essentially were, please leave. They just, I mean, at that point, they did not want to deal with the team anymore because that deal was so poisonous and it cost the city so much money that they were perfectly fine with the Rams leaving just because the relationship had deteriorated so much. You know, it is kind of nice to see the shoe on the other foot where the sports team doesn't have all the leverage and can, you know, force the city or county or whoever to pay for $700 million worth of renovations or building, costs for building a new stadium.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, like I was saying, the Senators agreed to play with their team in that stadium that far outside of Ottawa. They really should have taken that into account before they said, well, okay, we'll go ahead and sign off on this. You should have known that people are going to have to drive to get there. You should have known that it was going to be, okay, people are enthusiastic first year or two, but after 10 years, they're going to be like, I don't feel like going to the game today.
Well, I'm sure Salisbury, Thunder Bay, or Hearst will be happy to take the team over for them, so,
But the Senators are not leaving Ottawa. Bettman's going to keep them there somehow. He's going to find a way to keep it there. But honestly, and the Coyotes aren't going anywhere because they're locked in.
Are they?
Yeah, aren't they? Weren't they locked in? Oh, you said
no,
the
Carolina is locked in now because Carolina is locked in for the next 7 years as part of any NHL sale contract. They have to agree not to apply for relocation for 7 years.
Phoenix's deal is written on toilet paper.
Yeah, I mean,
how many times has the league stepped in now to save that team?
3. I mean,
at least. I mean, jeez.
That is, I mean, the crazy thing is, I mean, and I had actually forgotten that they used to play in Winnipeg. The crazy thing is that they ever left Winnipeg, Maybe, I mean, I don't know why they left. Maybe that was another situation where it was greed over a stadium. They wanted a new stadium, wouldn't get it. Maybe similar to what Calgary is going through right now,
right?
Where they want a new Saddle Dome, and the city doesn't want to give it to them, and they're threatening to leave. I don't think that's going to happen at all.
The messed up part about that is Winnipeg does leave. They get a new stadium. It's smaller than the previous one. I think it's one of the smallest stadiums in the league.
Yeah.
But because of that, their attendance is through the roof, and the fandom is back even more so than it ever was before. So there's something to be said. I get the whole arguments all around, but sometimes a different stadium can have a big impact on the fandom and the success of the team. And it worked. And it worked for Winnipeg's case. You have less seats. You make it a much more intimate feel. Even though you're still talking 15,000 people or whatever it holds, apparently, you feel like you're right on top of the ice with it. So and it's worked.
And that, I mean, there is something to be said for that. I think that in DC, when they built it used to be the MCI Center. I can't keep up with the sponsorships. I don't know what it is now. When they built that, I mean, most people in D.C. acknowledge that revitalized the downtown area of D.C. by building that stadium. So I think there is there can be a good deal struck where it's good for the city and good for the team. The problem is when, a team says, oh, you need to pay everything and you need to give us a $1 a year lease, something like that, where it's clearly a terrible deal for the city and the team is saying, well, we're just going to hold you hostage for all this. So, but I do think I think there is a balance where a good deal can be struck.
Well, a location of a stadium is super important. It's critical because you want to catch people getting off work and coming straight to the stadium or having the families or, going to go home to get their kids and then come to the game and that kind of stuff, whatever. But I think Winnipeg, in their case, they had an NHL team. They lost it. and they got one back, and now they are just so happy to have hockey back because what is the major export of Winnipeg? Probably
Tears.
hockey players.
Not only that, they're
they
playing
lost their hockey, and they got it back.
I was
and
just
now
saying
they're
like
so
elk
happy.
meat or something.
They're so happy to have them back, and Atlanta has twice had a chance to have hockey there. It just could not get a foothold there.
No.
And I'll be honest with you, we were talking about Savannah a number of podcasts ago. There is no support system for hockey in Georgia that I can tell. There's no rinks in Savannah. There's nothing. People do not know what hockey is there.
Well, when no one in the city can pronounce the last name of the top superstar, it's probably a problem too.
But we were talking about a team like Winnipeg lost a team. Another team that, in retrospect, it's incredible that they lost a team to begin with. It was Minnesota. You know, how did they lose the North Stars? I mean,
that was a
to
total
Dallas.
money deal. From
The
what I
state of
remember,
hockey, I mean,
they were demanding, I think, some crazy stuff from Minnesota because they felt they had the city over a barrel, and they told them to pound sand, and they left. And they called their bluff and left. And that was complete money.
It's incredibly annoying to
all
see
money.
that when there's a lot of fan support and the team's just trying to take advantage of that. I think that's what everybody hates about these stadium and arena deals. That's what everybody hates, is when a team is trying to take advantage of the love that fans have for that team and use that to leverage it against the city or the county or whoever is responsible for building that.
So what it comes down to is whether you're the team or the city, just don't be a greedy a-hole and everything will be okay.
Amen. Amen.
But that goes against every business sense as a businessman that you have.
Yeah,
You're supposed to be greedy. You're supposed to grab every last cent. Doesn't matter what's going on. Oh, wait a minute. Jeff Innick doesn't do that, and he's doing extremely well.
About time.
Let's wait and see
25 years.
when Mosey is closed down to make room for
How
the
many times has that
USF
arena
campus
changed?
stadium.
Mosey is moving downtown, and then USF is going to get their stadium across Fowler Avenue. I can totally see the writing on the wall with that. I can totally see.
after
USF so badly wants its own stadium.
Yeah.
Like, Raymond James is perfect. It's right on Dale Mabry. Everybody can get to it.
You just
can
like it
drink
because
in
it's
and outside
closer to
stadium.
your house.
No,
Now you're gonna have to go further.
No, dude. We're Bulls alum. We will go. We will go to USF games on Fowler Avenue. However, I just the thing is that I think their Glazers are making money. Not even Tampa. Tampa's not even making money off of USF. It's the Glazers because it's in their contract with the Buccaneers. The Glazers make money off of the Bulls and the Bucks for parking, for concessions, for ticket sales, everything. The Glazers make money off of the Bulls just for playing football there. It's not their stadium. It's supposed to be Tampa Stadium, but no, wait, it's only part Tampa Stadium.
That's never stopped anybody from making a buck.
That's what I hate about the whole stadium deals. Like, look, you want to go 50-50 on this stadium, Mike? All right, here's the deal. I'll front the money for your team to play here, but I want to have X amount of the ticket sales. I want to have all the parking, and I want the concessions. And you say, deal. We'll pay for half the stadium. We get half the ticket sales. We'll get all of our merchandise. You can have the parking. That's fine.
Thank you, Mike. That was very generous of you.
And then you're
That's
going to
good
go.
job by you.
And you're making your money off your merchandise nationwide, and you're getting money from your broadcast deals and that kind of stuff or whatever.
Nice of Mike to crack open the Amex.
That seems like a sensible deal. Let's try to split
Guard.
it, or try to split it 50-50. It's no, somebody's trying to get up over on somebody else, and I hate that. The teams always seem to have leverage over the populace and the taxpayers who are financing this thing ultimately.
Yeah, that's why I said it's little bit of Schadenfreude to see the situation that the Rays are in, where they're locked into the lease with St. Pete. Nothing personally against the Rays. It just because you see sports teams take advantage of cities in general. It's good to see a little bit on the other foot.
Yeah. It'd be one thing if the Rays say, you know what, we want a new stadium and we're willing to put X amount of million toward it. Can you guys please help us? We want to move to a different location. We want to try to get more fans to come in. We're trying to build a better team. They're not doing that at all. They're trying to negotiate from a position of strength, and they have no strength. They have no position to negotiate from. Sorry. I'm angry.
Getting feisty over here.
What gave it away? All right, let's talk about the Flyers.
Please.
There we go. All right.
So,
See you guys next podcast.
Well, I've listened to a lot of you wanting to personally dismember Alain Vignon.
Oh, really? Are we going to go into that? We're going to talk about how much you talked about Hacksaw.
So
really?
It was one episode.
One episode. It's one episode. And it's kind of branched its
Extended.
tentacles into other podcasts. So
Look, who can remember things like that? I mean,
I do. But
not like we have it on tape or anything.
Unless it's math, and then I'm out. But in the deference to our guests, I think I would let Pete have the floor. Let him speak about what his view is on the Flyers organization, where they're at this so far this season, and go from there.
I would say I'm not surprised to see where they are this season. They have been in a rebuilding on the fly for a few years now, and I think they're a couple years away from truly being an upper echelon contender. It's a combination of clearing out bad contracts and waiting for their remaining prospects to develop and get up to the NHL level. But when that happens, that defense is going to be scary as you know what. The biggest thing I see is just inconsistency from the head coach. I have no complaints about Hextall. In Hexy, I trust.
Oh, shit!
He had a vision. He's following it. And the only way in this current NHL that you're going to stay competitive is through drafting. You can't go out there and drop coin on big name free acquisitions and expect to still be competitive 3, 4, 5 years down the line. It just doesn't work on the hard salary cap era anymore. I'm fine. He's made some questionable deals, but what GM hasn't?
Yeah, I would say he's been excellent with younger players with drafting. Has not been so great with signing free agents. I'm thinking specifically of Dale Weiss when I say this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I still don't get that deal.
Yeah,
but I mean, he traded Grossman and Pronger's contract to the Coyotes and got Sam Gagne, who in return was a serviceable third line center for a year and a half or however long he was with the team. So I mean, he dealt a virtually retired player's contract as part of a trade. You're wheeling and dealing if you're doing that. So I just think, I don't know. I just haven't figured out Dave Haxtell and his coaching schemes. He just makes some stupid decisions like putting Dale Weiss in the top 6.
Yeah.
I don't get that. And when you continuously put him and Yuri Laterra in instead of like Tyler Lear and some of the other younger players who are faster, quicker, can actually play hockey. I don't know. And I think until they get that stabilized, the team's going to be in this flux of just win a few, lose a few, win a few, lose a few. And
well, sort of like this week where they lost to the Sabres and then beat the Lightning, But
that's always been their MO, though. They play up to their competition or down to their competition, depending on how good or bad the team is that they're facing.
Yeah.
Which is terrible, but, when you get a 5-3 win over the Lightning, but you lose to the Sabres, it's just like, what the F is going on?
Yeah. I completely agree with your sentiments, especially about Dave Haxtell. I mean, do you think they need to fire him now? Do you think...
I don't think they're going to fire him now because Hextall's publicly come out and said he has trust in his coach. I would expect to see him through the year, and depending on how the year goes, that's going to have a big influence on it. The thing that they have in their back pocket is they had one of the top coaches from the AHL.
Yeah.
Isn't he he's with the minor league team right now?
He's with the Phantoms.
Yeah, he's with the Phantoms.
He's the guy who's coaching all the good young guys that
I
they
can't
have,
remember what his
developing
name
those
is.
players. I can't either. Yeah.
The bitch of it is the reason they brought Haxtell in the first place is because he was supposed to be good at grooming and developing young talent.
And it seems like he kind of hates young talent based on how he's benched, Travis Konechny and Gostisbehere last year and Travis Sanheim this year.
You can learn from benching.
You can.
Not if it's unwarranted.
Yeah.
There's got to be a reason. If you sit out because you did something stupid and you had a chance to reflect on it and sit in the box and
absolutely,
then you fix what you did wrong, fine. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're just benching for stupid decisions because you want to put Andrew McDonald in again,
or Brandon Manning or Dale Weiss or Yuri Laterra, those guys who can't play.
Pylon, just for other defensemen and people to dance around, I don't get it.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with you. I think I look at maybe 2019 as being the year where they can start to contend a little bit, assuming that Voracek and Giroux stay, manage to sort of continue their bounce back that they've had this season.
Well, the biggest part of that has been moving Sean Couturier up to the first line, and what vindicates me the biggest because I've thought Couturier has been a great player for a long time, even with all the people that say he sucks, bounce him out. Why haven't you traded him yet? Everybody said he's never going to be anything better than a second line center. He's a front runner for the Selke Trophy now as a first line center between Giroux and Voracek, and it's revitalized both of them into their all forms because they don't have to carry as much weight as they used to. in the past couple of years.
I think look for their young players. A lot of their defensive prospects who are in the AHL. A lot of the good young guys they've drafted. Thinking of a guy they drafted this past summer, Morgan Frost, who is currently leading the OHL in scoring.
Isaac Ratcliffe.
Yeah, and Carter Hart, who is Team Canada's World Junior goalie.
Yeah.
Is widely acknowledged as a fantastic goalie prospect. Has been the WHL goalie of the month for like 2 or 3 straight months.
Yeah.
Is fantastic. He'll be in the AHL next season, as I expect Morgan Frost will probably be. And then look for those guys maybe in 2019. And at that point, you'll see the young.
The Rangers have a fantastic goalie prospect themselves. I just wanted to throw that in there. I know we're talking about a lot of Flyers, but let's talk about a playoff team in the Metro for this season. And
Also, apparently, he wants to talk about Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh ain't in the playoffs. We can talk about that another time, but
That's okay. They'll just trade away 17 prospects again and pull in another. Phil Kessel will go win the cup for a third
Garrett
time.
Bettman will form that team into a championship team again, because that's what he does.
For when they trade away all their prospects for Erik Karlsson.
All he does is bend over and let Sidney Crosby do his work. And, that's how they win. But maybe he'll start doing that for McDavid instead, and I'd be okay with that because I like the Oilers and I hate Penguins.
Well, it depends. It depends on when McDavid gets traded to the Penguins.
No, we ain't letting that happen.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Well, thanks for coming, Pete.
Happy to sit in again if you ever
Way
want
better
to.
than our other.
Hey, there's a ringing endorsement.
You know what? You didn't bring
yeah.
up the Chicago Blackhawks not once, and I'm proud of you for that.
Do not believe
That's
for
another
one
sore
podcast.
spot right there. Too.
This has been a Hawkless podcast, and I'm rather proud of that.
It wasn't until you brought it up, Cheyenne.
Well, you see, we already have the shutout, so now we can talk about post podcast, stuff. Like,
until about 20 seconds ago, this was our best episode.
As long as you don't play Harvey Danger as your outro music.
And now we might.
No, we got sued for that. Anyway, so by Mr. Danger himself. So I would like to thank Carrie Carullo for allowing you to come over here with on short notice and with a sick child at home. Thanks for coming over, Pete.
My wife is awesome.
I'd like to thank Dr. Sean Hansen.
I'll cut that part.
Chiropractor to the stars, Tarpon Total Healthcare, and Captain Morgan for fueling this New Year's Eve party.
In case you haven't been able to tell.
On behalf of the Misfits Boys, wishing you a Happy New Year. If you want to hear our past episodes, check us out on the Facebook page, Misfits Boys Hockey with a Z. Boys with a Z.
Big thanks to special guest Chase Blackburn, Chaz Blackberry, for sitting in.
Yes, such a great analyst.
Great contributions.
Big respect.
Talking
Really
about
game.
hockey in the background as we're talking about hockey.
Really
in the
made
foreground.
his presence felt on the pod.
I must say that guy, such a game
Quite
respecter.
magnanimous.
Just like he does on his breakaways, came up a little bit short. You should have been here, son. You should have been here.
All right.
That's what she
All
said.
Let's go
that's all right.
Rangers.
Let's go get some beverages.
Boo. Let's go Flyers.